morning. Welcome. Hello. Thank you at the front. Thank you. Welcome to St. John's this morning. We have a roller coaster ride for you today. It's going to look very different to what I had planned, but that's okay. Our speaker, Paul Buterman, unfortunately can't make it because the ferries have been cancelled. So we're going to take a deep breath and we're just going to do it anyway. So it's all good. Woo! Today we are asking the question is, how do we journey together? And I'm going to say that you are going to be very much involved in answering this question with us. But first we're going to start with a few updates. I'm going to pass over to Andy for the low port.
Yes, so a lot has been happening this week in our new church home. So some things I just want to fill you on. So we had 25 plus volunteers this week, all different ages, so give yourself a round of applause. We had 4 electricians on site, 2 turtle doves, and 1 labourer on site. We had 1 heating engineer, and we had 3 painters that were paid, and we had many voluntary painters, and we also had 4 tenants move in, which is great too. So Specsavers of Linlithgow are now storing their glasses in the low port, so if you need glasses glazed, look no further than your very own church home. So this is the St. John's staff office, so that's people painting the walls, and then that will be a meeting room on the left-hand side where the young people will meet on a Sunday morning, which is very cool. Next slide. This is our frame that's getting built. So the climbing holds have all been sold, and there is a frame that has been made in front of it. So these will become cupboards. So all the seats will get stored behind these. All our brand new, comfortable, non-squeaky seats will fit in behind these, which is brilliant. And we expect to have that finished very soon. That's another angle of the cupboard. Now that's a wall, so the first lot of paint has been put on. It's been sprayed on by Kieran Crowley, which is great. Next slide. And then we had volunteers clearing the outside of the building. So we had lots of people scraping moss. We had lots of people picking up litter. It was -7 and people still did it, so big kudos to you. The outside has all been done by volunteers and it looks a lot better than it did. And that's Billy Mitchell, just in the corner there. Scraping away. And then this will be as well, our projection will be a thing of the past in the Lowport Centre, our new church home. And these are our 2 98-inch tellies, which will go on the wall, which is cool. And then also as well, the young people, those from 7 to 9 did their bit. So they took down all the desks in the office, making it ready for the office to come down to the Lowport. So, what's going to happen next week, I hear you say? Well, tomorrow the church office is moving from Union Road down to the Lowport Centre. So we need all hands on deck. If you're about from 9 till about 3 o'clock tomorrow, please presence yourself, incarnate yourself at the Lowport Centre. That would be great. Then we've got lots of painting of cupboards and hallways and all that sort of stuff to do. That'll be happening this week coming. We need to paint the men's bathroom after Joe Morgan so diligently cleaned the toilets. And then we also need to clear the boatyard, and we're still on Operation Remove the Moss. So if any of that sounds like something what you want to spend your time doing next week, you can sign up on the link on the email, or you can come and speak to me and we'll write it down on a bit of paper and you can give me your time and your slot. But thank you very much for that.
You may have on your seats a reading plan. And there's going to be a video that explains what this is, and then we'll go from there.
The elders and the teachers have been seeking God for our 2024 learning journey. And after lots of listening and confirmation, we've reached our starting point, a bit like a departure station.
Our learning journey will be a kind of storyline of Jesus' words using the Gospel of John and a bit of Matthew, a bit like railway tracks.
Jesus said that anyone who listens to my teaching and follows it is wise, like a person who builds a house on solid rock.
Though the rain comes in torrents and the floodwaters rise, and the winds beat against that house, it won't collapse because it's built on bedrock.
There will be Bible verses to read before each Sunday, and kids, younger and older folk will all follow the same reading journey, each group looking for what God is wanting to teach them through it.
Every Monday, the reading will be posted on our family Facebook group, and there will be a shared document with all the info.
As we travel along, we'll sometimes stop, get off and explore a topic that's been raised in our reading, using sermon series and learning streams.
In between stops, there will be journey services, prayerful, creative, with shorter talks, services that we hope you will find really helpful.
There will also be times all ages are on the train together, or we get off the train and go for a picnic.
We start on the 22nd of January with John chapter 1. All aboard!
I'll admit I only watched a bit of that video before showing it and I didn't hear the all aboard at the end, so that was really good. So you can take these home with you. It'll be on the Facebook page in document. And if anybody wants an A4 larger print, then come and see me or Ruth, and we'll get that to you. And finally, we've got Audrey, who wants to come and speak to us. There we go.
This is a special week in the church calendar in the Northern Hemisphere, between the 18th and 25th every year, so it changes as to which days it is the week for prayer for Christian unity. And as part of that, there are usually opportunities to gather together the body of Christ in a particular area. And that for Linlithgow will happen this evening at St. Michael's Church of Scotland. At 6:30 there is a joint service there. A shout out to Jackie Price, who is our rep for churches together in this area, and we really appreciate what you do, Jackie. And we know that you would love if there was someone else who would be part of that with you. So if you are the kind of person who has a heart for the body of Christ in an area, and you think you've got a little bit of time that you could give, and it's not a lot of time over a year, have a word with Jackie afterwards, and you may get someone alongside you there. So thank you. Tonight, 6:30, St. Michael's, Church of Scotland.
Thank you. So I've already said this service is going to be slightly different to how I planned, but we're just going to take a moment now, and you can chat to the person next to you or think about it, and I just want you to think about your faith journey, and I want you to pick one of your favorite moments from that faith journey. So I'm just going to give you a minute. Ten more seconds. Okay, I'm just going to do a quick poll. So you don't have to share it anymore. Hands up if the memory that you've shared or thought of today, you were in between the age of 0 and 18. Wonderful. Hands up if this memory includes being at a children's or youth camp, whether as a child or a youth, or helping out. And finally, hands up if there is another person involved in that memory who is of the age 0 to 18. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so you may have seen a running theme in those questions. Today we're looking at how we journey together, but we're focusing on an age bracket, the 0 to 18s. This is the beginning of a new journey this year. There is going to be a lot of change, and we think that this is an opportunity to review, to look, to cipher what we want to take on this journey with us and leave behind anything that isn't needed. And as the elders and the staff team, we think that part of this work is looking at the 0 to 18s. Yeah, I think I had it all written down. It was all in my head. I'm off. But I do want to make clear that whilst there is a focus on this age group, and I hope that by the end of this service, we'll all understand that everybody is included in this. We should all be invested in this age group. We should all be helping out, whether it's supporting the children, supporting the families, all of the above. So that's what we're going to be looking at. And this is the point where I would introduce Paul Buterman, who's been helping us look at all this stuff. So just imagine a very tall guy there. Many people have said, "Oh, I know Paul," so you'll just have to go with that today. So this is what's going to happen. I'm going to invite some of our team up that are working on this project. We're going to share some of our early thoughts on this. It is definitely the start of a journey. We don't have all the answers. We have lots of questions for you. We want everyone to be involved. And then we're going to have our worship team come up. And then we're going to go through to this room where there's some activities to take part in, or we're going to stay in here. But essentially, we're going to have 20 more minutes in here, and then it's going to be more of a social, and we'll provide lunch and things as well. But first, I want to do the all-age prayer, because that is a standard in our all-age service. There we go. So if you want to stand while we say, we lift our hearts, bodies, and minds to the Lord. All together we say, this day and service belong to you. Thank you, Jesus, Saviour and friend, for meeting with us today. Young and old, big and small, strong and weak, as we worship you together. Help us as one united church family to make space for one another as we make space for you. And help us live out your command to love one another just as you have first loved us. Today we consider the question, how do we journey together? Lord, help us to use our voices well, to listen and to take in each other's conversations. We focus on our youth and children's work and how we can all be a part of this journey we are on. Help us to be a part of this journey. So we say together, Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our sins, as we forgive those who sin against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For the kingdom, the power, and the glory are yours, now and forever. Amen. Take your seats. So I'm going to get Stuart, Catherine, Brianne, and Russell up. And we're just going to share our thoughts that we've had at the start of this process. If you could listen, and then that will help you in the different rooms. And I will kick us off. So there should be a slide that says connecting together. There we go. So as part of this journey, we think that the 0 to 18s group should be encouraged to connect more with the church. I've just lost my space. Breathe. Looking back on my own faith journey, I can see key moments where I've gone to the older generations for advice and wisdom. I've loved sharing Sundays with my peers, and I've loved having the space to look at my gifts and working with children, and for that to grow, and this is where I am today. So I feel it's really important that this age group are able to integrate more into church life and connect together. And one of the ways that we've started with this is the reading plan. So all of the groups on a Sunday morning will be reading the same passages, looking at the same themes, and I feel like that can really encourage conversations between any of us. If you're having coffee and tea in there, you can ask the kids, what did they get out of this passage? They can ask you. I can send them to people when they've got the really difficult questions. It's going to be absolutely brilliant. And that's just a small way that we can connect together. No. Sorry, Jasper. So that's one of the ways that we can do this. We want to encourage more socials. I'm very aware that socials might not be everybody's cup of tea. So we want some ideas about how we can do this well for everybody. I've definitely got to know more people through the picnics and the barbecues and the games. I feel like on a Sunday morning I'm running around like a headless chicken, as you can probably tell today. So I can't make any promises that we'll do everything, but I really feel that if we have a good wide range of interests, that we can get something that's good for everybody. And to start you off on the ideas, Sunday Club want to do a pizza party at some point, so that could be an idea that we go for. But most importantly, I want to show our children and young people faith in action. I want them to see us in the service, living out our faith. I want them to see us living out our faith in the world, serving our community together, and just being together and connecting. And I think this is just a really important, that what we hear on Sunday morning is then translated into the real world. And I think every generation has something to give. Older generations can teach the younger generations can teach the older generations. It's a conversation. It's not just two sides, it's together. And I'm so glad this happened this morning, because it just sums up my point unbelievably well. I had a conversation with a child this morning, with Summer, and she wanted to tell me something that she had a conversation about with her family, and I wanted to share it with you today.
Man or girl or boy, man or woman, doesn't matter who you are. If anybody says something bad to you, listen to God and listen to those that are in your family that you care about, and listen.
How wonderful is that? So that in itself was a real pick-me-up for me this morning. So I'm going to pass over to Stuart.
Thank you. Good morning. I think we all just need to give a big hand to Bryony this morning. She is a star. For those that have done any Strength Finder training, the number one for Bryony is adaptability. And I'm just glad, and I thank God that you're adaptable. So I was talking last week a little bit about vision and values of the church, and over the last 5 years, we've been talking a lot about the values of the church, about what it looks like to pursue God's will together, to discern what God's asking for the church, for us how to follow Him, what that looks like. We've talked a lot as well about what it means to have a culture of honor, to really treat each other well, to treat each other the way God would have us. And the last one is like everybody gets to play, which is what I've been asked just to talk just a little bit about, and Bryony has already mentioned. We want this church to be a place where everybody feels that they have a part to play, and everybody completely feels that they are welcome. And my genesis of this for me was when Heather Begarney, who had 5 kids, talked about some of the times she had, it was troubling to her that she came to church and her family went in lots of different directions, and they kind of learnt their spiritual direction with their age group. And we've been on this like all age journey for quite a while now. What does it look like for us to learn together? What does it look like for us to prioritize what young people are saying to us as much as what we're saying to young people? And Paul Buteman, even though he's not here this morning, has been a really big part of this journey, and we're still learning what that looks like. And I just got like a couple of stories about this in practice, and I haven't asked permission to either of these people to share these stories, which is bad. But in the spirit of adaptability, these 2 stories are, number one, Alan, when you retired from the police, you got really involved in the youth work, and it's been a massive journey for you, and you've learned so much from these young people, but you were also able to contribute a lot to them as well, and you're affectionately known by all these kids as Uncle Alan. This is going back for generations, and that's just an example of someone in our church family who didn't think that they were qualified to do it, but just followed the leads of what God was saying. And the other is my father-in-law, Peter, who is 84 and mentors an 8-year-old up in Bridgend and spends time through LYPP volunteering his time. And I ask forgiveness to both of these people for not asking permission, but that's the sort of thing that we're talking about. And I'm going to stop now because I was given 2 minutes, and I've definitely taken more than that. So everybody gets to play.
Okay, so one of the things I was tasked with this was talking to Sunday Club and getting their feedback, talking to young people who are now adults who grew up through St. John's, and talking to some volunteers. We have a wide-ranging group of young people who are incredibly diverse, all have different interests. So when you ask them for their feedback, this is the result. So, more time in Sunday Club. Less time in Sunday Club. Outside time, inside only. Reading and stories, no reading and boring stories. Crafts, no crafts, we hate them. Exciting games, quiet and calm games. Minecraft all the time. I hate Minecraft. Quiet time, we don't like sitting still and listening. Games, no games. We'd rather not come. I'm sad when it finishes. Those are about half of the contradictions that were in the feedback. So you can see the struggle we have with trying to make everyone happy and make it so that it works for everyone, because everyone wants different things, but we're all trying our best. I also spoke to 12 adults who grew up through St. John's Youth, and this is a little sum up of kind of the pros and cons that they brought out. So positives, community and connection. So strong friendships were built across the generations. The name that came up the most was Uncle Alan. Name dropped 6 times out of the 12 feedback. Very good. Family-friendly environment. So there were opportunities for families to be involved and lots to do for all ages. Learning and fun. So Soul Survivor and Our Growth were both talked about a lot, about times where they learnt a lot, but it was also really fun. Safe place for discussion. Concerns were addressed and support was provided. and a positive impact on faith. Interestingly, with this one, there was mixed perspectives on the teaching that they got, but the thing that came across the most was that being part of church teams and being involved in wider church activities was really, really important to them. Time for some negatives. Okay. They felt like the teaching didn't challenge them or wasn't thought-provoking enough, and it didn't relate to the real world. It's important to know that these are young people who are my age and older, some slightly younger, so this is not a reflection on Andy and Brianne. Just to make that really clear. They also mentioned cliquish behaviour, so both in the youth and in the wider church, that it was really hard if you came in as a new person to figure out where you sat, and also for the young people who weren't part of family units, that they all mentioned that that was something that was really difficult. Limited discussion on diversity, so things about race and class, LGBTQ+ issues, poverty, mental health. They felt like that wasn't discussed enough, and that was the thing that their peers who weren't Christians wanted to know their opinions on the most, so they felt completely not ready to have those discussions. And potential for exclusivity was the another one. So people with families that didn't fit into the mold or whose families didn't attend found that really, really difficult, and didn't really know where they fit in the church. I also spoke to some volunteers, and there were 4 things that kind of came out of those discussions as well. So the first is the challenge of diversity, which we've kind of already looked at. It's really hard in Sunday Club to run it in a way that works for everyone. We have kids that want it to be really quiet, and we have kids that want it to be really loud. We have kids that want to sit still, and we have kids that want to run around like a mad thing. And you can't do both of those things at the same time. The joy of learning from kids, so that's something that all the volunteers say, is they always learn something from the kids. They learn to look at things in a different way, and they really enjoy giving their wisdom to the kids as well. And connecting despite not having kids was another thing that came up. So for the people who volunteer who maybe aren't part of a traditional family unit in the church, being involved with the kids and parents through Sunday Club is something that they really, really value. And then lastly, seeing them grow up and develop. So seeing children and young people grow and flourish and become adults and going out into the world is a real honour for their volunteers. Children and young people need to be supported and included, not for their parents' sake alone, but because they have meaningful contributions to make to the church and also to the wider world. But to do this, it takes the support of all of us to build community and relationships with them and give our time, energy, and ideas. So if you have any ideas of how we can work with the completely opposite ideas that the young people have, please let us know. We would love to hear them.
So our section was about both strengthening links with the community and integrating youth and kids into church life. So we're going to start with the strengthening links with the community. The first thing was that I work with both St John's Youth and for LYPP, as does Russell. And I personally would like to see more integration between the two of those. The reasons behind that are, I think it would make me less concerned that we're living in our own wee Christian bubble. But also it's an opportunity to show St John's as being involved in an important part of the community with young people as well as with adults. Do you want to talk about what that has looked like in the past?
Yeah, I must say I'm actually slightly glad that Paul's not here, because we were given 2-3 minutes and I looked at what Brianne had prepared and I'm like, I'm going to say nothing. So I actually I'm quite happy having a bit longer and being able to take our time. Sorry, Paul, I hope you're okay. Yeah, a lot of what we're talking about is obviously not necessarily anything new. You know, we have always looked at ways that we can integrate with community, always looked at ways that, especially within the youth work, when I came to Linlithgow to work for St Michael's, I remember saying in my interview that one of the big appeals of that job was the fact that there were other churches doing youth work in the town, and that I would get to work with other churches and other people and other youth workers together to try and support and benefit the young people of this town. And LYPP was largely set up by a couple of the churches, and now I get the joy of working for them and being an elder at St John's and having lots of friends at St Michael's. We've been involved in, when I arrived, I learned about things called exchange and what was it, All Stars or all? Yeah, I'm getting a kind of roll of the eyes nod from Catherine. These were things that happened before I came, where the churches would run something together for the young people. When I started, I worked with Lorna to launch Union, which was a combination between the churches trying to provide a kind of drop-in similar to what LYPP does, purely on the focus of having somewhere where Christian young people felt comfortable bringing their friends that wasn't cringe, it wasn't preachy, it was just somewhere where we focused on relationships. And that actually led to a massive increase in LYPP kids coming to that event, and some of which even started coming to church services and events. And one is now, again, I've not asked for permission to share any of this, but like one even helps lead worship and is on St. John's staff now, who started at LYPP, came to Union, and is now very much a part of this church family. So these are not new things, but they do have a time. They do have a kind of end point. Union ran its course, and it was fantastic when it was running, and we really want to value what it did, but we need new things. There are changes, the needs are changing within the community, within young people, and we need to be able to keep up with that in order to best serve them. So we need ideas for how to do that too.
What we're doing about that now, because it is somewhat happening now, is that we currently, in the last 6 months, have had a couple of kids from LYPP start coming along to St. John's midweek clubs, which has been really great, and I've really valued their presence there. And they also came along to our Arbroath weekend away. A couple of St. John's youth have popped into the lounge at LYPP recently, which has been lovely to see them. It feels like a total clash between worlds for me, but I love seeing it. We're currently planning a St. John's Youth LYPP event that hopefully will get a good amount of both groups coming along to, and they can get to know each other a bit more. And I'm also planning on promoting the LYPP summer programme to our St. John's youth as well, in the hope that there'll be a bit more integration there. How can this link to the Lowport Centre? Well, we need your ideas, obviously, always. I have had a sort of vague think about this for coming along today, and my example idea was that every Friday after school, LYPP Lounge is on, and they offer free toasties for young people after school every Friday. And I don't know if you guys remember, it was a while ago now, I did a sermon on poverty, and how important having food available can be. But that's something that's been running around my head when I was thinking about this. Not necessarily to like compete with the Friday Lounge, because that's not what it's about, but perhaps something similar, another meal available, a weekend thing. I don't know, I haven't thought it all the way through, but just any idea would be great to hear. So yeah, we just want your thoughts on how we can strengthen links with the community, with Lowport, with young people, with kids. There was going to be opportunities for you to share them in the next room. I don't know if that's still available during lunch, if that's the plan. Yes, so there will be an opportunity for you to write stuff down next door. Do you want to add anything to that before I move on?
It's not important, but I was actually, Brianne sent me her notes, and I was really encouraged from an LYPP perspective when she highlighted about the toasties, because when we started doing it, it was the suggestion of a young person who said, why, like we used to do a Foodie Friday thing to try and develop their skills within the kitchen and their confidence within the kitchen, but someone said, can we not just do toasties? So that's what we did. And it's something I've never kind of really, I knew the theory was there that if someone was hungry, then we would have the ability to feed them. But actually, when I saw that comment, I thought, I am so glad that I do not know how many hungry young people are being fed at Lounge, because it just means that everyone is treated equally, and that nobody is highlighted for being particularly hungry, particularly poor, anything like that. We just love young people. And I love the fact that that kind of stood out to someone, because that was such an encouragement for me.
So integrating youth and kids into church life. Something I've been thinking about a lot recently is where to pitch the teaching, especially if we start having kids from the community with no church background turning up to church or youth events. And it's been a particularly interesting dynamic for me in the last 6 months with the midweek clubs. There's also kind of links to how we can better support neurodiverse children and young people and adults in church, because none of it is a one-size-fits-all situation. And I am betting there are people in here that are more experienced than me and know a lot more about this than me, and your ideas and your thoughts on it would be extremely valuable. I've had some chats with different teams, and we would love to give kids and young people an opportunity to be part of the all-age services in a bigger way. So like leading worship, or being on welcome, or being on the teas and coffees, or and like even maybe speaking, because they will have something to share. It's just something that admittedly I've just not had the time to actually implement, to be honest. But it's something that I would love to see, because I think it would be really cool. The young people could have something that they want to share with the adults. And something that I love seeing is Daniel helping you put the words up on the screen. When Russell's on words, Daniel will do it, and I just love seeing it. Especially when I'm on worship, I can see him like pure paying attention and like trying his hardest to do it. And sometimes I've seen like the little kids helping with the teas and coffees, and it just like warms my heart a lot, because it makes me feel like they're part of something. Something I'm really passionate about as a youth worker is valuing what young people have to say and not just dismissing them as children. Obviously, there is an element where they are young, but I think you would all be incredibly surprised at the nuanced and well thought out opinions or thoughts or questions that I get on a regular basis, and all youth workers get on a regular basis. I always want them to know that they're important and their ideas matter just as much as the adults' ideas and thoughts and questions. And I really hope that this is a value that we can keep in mind when we're integrating children and young people into church and with our links in the community. However, I am not a young person, and I'm also not a parent. So again, your ideas are going to be so valuable on how we can effectively do this together. Also, if you're not a young person or a parent, but you have ideas, that's also great. So if you find yourself next door with ideas, please write them down, please share them, because everyone's brains work so differently, and everyone has such different experiences that it could be something that none of us have thought of and be like the best idea we've seen yet. So it would be really helpful. No, that's us.
So we're now going to a time of worship. We're just going to have a couple of songs, so we'd like to invite the band to come up. And because we don't have the speaker today, our service will look slightly different. So we're going to have just 3 songs here. After we have our 3 songs, we hope that some of the conversations that we started, we can put some of them on paper and integrate them in different ways. So there's lots of paper and stations that are next door. At that point in time, you can write them down. But at that point, our service formally finishes. Because we don't have a talk, it gives people some time to write down some stuff, and then around about 11:30 we'll be having lunch together, so please do hang about for that, but feel no pressure like you have to go through there and say something. But if you want to, after these songs, our service will formally finish, and then you'll be able to write down some of the ideas that you have. Thank you very much.
Let's stand together.
Nothing can separate, even if I run away. Your love never fails.
to the flags and actually just feeling the waft of that flag over me as I was singing it. I love that we do church together, all generations. I love that. And I work with kids all the time who find it really difficult to regulate to a plan and to sit still and to do stuff just a certain way. And I just feel like we're at a stage as a church, as a family, where we're taking some of that apart and going, it doesn't have to be about silos of ways of doing things. And just want to encourage us as a church to embrace that. I love seeing us do it all together.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So you can take your seats if you want. That's the end of our service. I'll encourage everybody to go through and have a look at the stations and give us your feedback and ideas. We're going to take all this today and use it to come up with a plan that will help us to shape our 0 to 18. So if they're in creche, if they're in Sunday club, if they're in youth, if your parents, grandparents, aunties, uncles, and how it can benefit the wider church as well. So go and grab a tea and coffee, have a look over, write anything down. If you write on your hand, show it to me. If you want to write a poem, a letter, do a drawing, everything through there. And we're just going to set up some lunch and we can enjoy lunch together as well. Thank you so much for bearing with us this morning.